Hi friends, I feel like a homesteader. I've been gardening all day. Yeah, no, and just getting the garden finished. I haven't got to the level of growing vegetables, although I've got a lovely herb garden out the front. So let's carry on. I've got actually quite a sad song to play. I got a copyright claim yesterday, because if you look up favourite hymns, unless you search kind of creatively on Google, you come up with the ones that have got millions of views. And so yesterday I got a copyright claim, but not a strike. So I think that just means that if they wanted to, they could have me take it down. But if not, they could say, well, we have to monetize if she makes any money and I don't. So, just loving the nice weather. Make the most of it, people, before the winter sets in with all the craziness that's going on. And yeah, this is a Catholic hymn. I told you I was raised Catholic, and I have some happy memories. And the ritual of Catholicism is very seductive. You know, the sort of memories you have of Easter and Christmas as a child, and Latin Mass and incense and new clothes and, you know, occasions. It's like, it's all wrapped into it, you know. So, and I wanted to play this song at my sister's funeral because we used to sing it as children in a convent in Gibraltar. But they didn't get played in the end. So this is for you, Fiona. And then we'll carry on with our reading. And let's hope we don't get, I don't think we'll get a copyright claim, because I'm going to share a very unusual version of this one by what sounds like a good Italian Catholic girl. Here we go. It's only had 31,000 views. Amanda DeLallo. Ciao, Bella. Oops, I have to go back to the beginning.
God of mercy and compassion, look with pity upon me. Father, let me call thee Father, 'tis thy child returns to thee. Jesus, Lord, I ask mercy, let me not implore in vain. All my sins I now detest them, never will I sin again. By my sins I have deserved death and endless misery. Hell with all its pain and torment, and for all eternity. Jesus, Lord, I ask mercy, let me not implore in vain. All my sins I now detest them, never will I sin again.
I'll finish that at the end of the reading. So beautiful. There are lovely versions as well with nuns singing that in the matins, whatever they used to call it. You know, like Gregorian chant music, only it's nuns in sopranos and stuff. I might play that tomorrow, a version of that tomorrow, or a different one. So, oh, the mystery of sex. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, from the sublime to the corblimious, as they say. Right. I also received a report of scandalous sex within your church family. This is serious, actually. A kind that wouldn't be tolerated even outside the church. Wow, doesn't that sound like paedophilia? Oh, incest. One of your men is sleeping with his stepmother, and you're so above it all that it doesn't even faze you. Shouldn't this break your hearts? Shouldn't it bring you to your knees in tears? Shouldn't this person and his conduct be confronted and dealt with? I'll tell you what I would do. Even though I'm not there in person, consider me right there with you, because I can fully see what's going on. I'm telling you that this is wrong. So it's not even incest technically, it's a stepmother, but it's still wrong. Sexual immorality is a big deal. You must not simply look the other way and hope it goes away on its own. Bring it out in the open and deal with it in the authority of Jesus, our Master. Assemble the community. I'll be present in spirit with you, and our Master Jesus will be present in power. Hold this man's conduct up to public scrutiny. Let him defend it if he can. But if he can't, then out with him. It will be totally devastating to him, of course, and embarrassing to you. But better devastation and embarrassment than damnation. See, shouldn't the church have learned that lesson? You know, the church. Listen, I'll say that again. Better devastation and embarrassment than damnation. You want him on his feet and forgiven before the Master on the day of judgment. You know? Screw loss of reputations. What about eternity, you know? Your flip and callous arrogance in these things bothers me. You pass it off as a small thing, but it's anything but that. Yeast, too, is a, quote, small thing, but it works its way through a whole batch of bread dough pretty fast. So get rid of this, quote, yeast. Our true identity is flat and plain, not puffed up with the wrong kind of ingredient. The Messiah, our Passover lamb, has already been sacrificed for the Passover meal, and we are the unraised bread part of the feast. So let's live out our part in the feast, not as raised bread swollen with the yeast of evil, but as flat bread, simple, genuine, unpretentious. Again, read that in the King James for the beauty of that, the full depth and meaning. I wrote you in my earlier letter that you shouldn't make yourselves at home among the sexually promiscuous. I didn't mean that you should have nothing at all to do with outsiders of that sort, or with crooks, whether blue or white collar, or with spiritual phonies for that matter. You'd have to leave the world entirely to do that. But I am saying that you shouldn't act as if everything is just fine when a friend who claims to be a Christian is promiscuous or crooked, is flip with God or rude to friends, gets drunk or becomes greedy and predatory. Wow. You can't just go along with this, treating it as acceptable behavior. I'm not responsible for what the outsiders do, but don't we have some responsibility for those within our community of believers? God decides on the outsiders, but we need to decide when our brothers and sisters are out of line and, if necessary, clean house. We'll finish with chapter 6. And how dare you take each other to court? When you think you've been wronged, this is talking about Christian brothers and sisters, fellow believers. This is how Christians should behave towards one another. So he's saying you come down hard on sexual immorality, but you don't take each other to court. Listen to this. When you think you've been wronged, does it make any sense to go before a court that knows nothing of God's ways instead of a family of Christians? The day is coming when the world is going to stand before a jury made up of followers of Jesus. If someday you're going to rule on the world's fate, wouldn't it be a good idea to practice on some of these smaller cases? Why, we're even going to judge angels. So why not these everyday affairs? As these disagreements and wrongs surface, Why would you ever entrust them to the judgment of people you don't trust in any other way? Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in that. I say this as bluntly as I can to wake you up to the stupidity of what you're doing. Is it possible that there isn't one level-headed person among you who can make fair decisions when disagreements and disputes come up? I don't believe it. And here you are taking each other to court before people who don't even believe in God. How can they render justice if they don't believe in the God of justice? These court cases are an ugly blot on your community. Talking about lawfare. Wouldn't it be far better to just take it, to let yourselves be wronged and forget it? All you're doing is providing fuel for more wrong, more injustice, bringing more hurt to the people of your own spiritual family. Don't you realize that this is not the way to live? Unjust people who don't care about God will not be joining in his kingdom. Those who use and abuse each other, use and abuse sex, use and abuse the earth and everything in it, don't qualify as citizens in God's kingdom. A number of you know from experience what I'm talking about. For not so long ago, you were on that list. Since then, you've been cleaned up and given a fresh start by Jesus, our Master, our Messiah, and by our God present in us, the Spirit. Just because something is technically legal doesn't mean that it's spiritually appropriate. If I went around doing whatever I thought I could get by with, I'd be a slave to my whims. You know the old saying, first you eat to live and then you live to eat? Well, it may be true that the body is only a temporary thing, but that's no excuse for stuffing your body with food or indulging it with sex. Since the Master honors you with a body, honor him with your body. God honored the Master's body by raising it from the grave. He'll treat yours with the same resurrection power. Until that time, remember that your bodies are created with the same dignity as the Master's body. You wouldn't take the Master's body off to a whorehouse, would you? I should hope not. There's more to sex than mere skin on skin. Sex is as much spiritual mystery as physical fact. As written in Scripture, the two become one. Since we want to become spiritually one with the Master, we must not pursue the kind of sex that avoids commitment and intimacy, leaving us more lonely than ever. The kind of sex that can never, quote, become one. There is a sense in which sexual sins are different from all others. In sexual sin, we violate the sacredness of our own bodies. These bodies that were made for God-given and God-modeled love, for becoming one with another. Or didn't you realize that your body's a sacred place, the place of the Holy Spirit? Don't you see that you can't live however you please, squandering what God paid such a high price for? The physical part of you is not some piece of property belonging to the spiritual part of you. God owns the whole works. So let people see God in and through your body. That's heavy. And that's a huge part of why society's crashed and burned, because of the manipulated and socially engineered breakdown of the family, creation of feminism, invention of the pill and free love, and, if it feels good, do it. That is very clearly a way to self-harm. And it creates generations of children growing up with just one parent, or estranged, alienated parents. Whoa, so we'll just finish here. put the link to this in the description.
By my sins I have abandoned right and claim to heaven above, where the saints rejoice forever in an endless sea of love. Jesus, Lord, I ask for mercy. Let me not implore in vain. All my sins I now detest, and never will I sin again. See our Savior bleeding, dying on the cross of Calvary. To that cross my sins have nailed him, yet he bleeds and dies for me. Jesus, Lord, I ask for mercy. Let me not implore in vain. All my sins I now detest, and never will I sin again. Jesus, Lord, I ask for mercy. Let me not implore in vain. All my sins I now detest, and never will I sin again.
Beautiful rendition. Okay, that's it. Please press like, subscribe if you haven't, share with anybody that you think needs Bible for beginners. And we all need to go back to the beginning, myself included. Sometimes it says in the Bible, unless you have the faith of a little child, you can't grasp, or enter the kingdom. So that's it. We'll carry on tomorrow, God willing. Enjoy the good weather, people.